Look, you know, Wilson sent this to me. I didn't spend $2,500. And if I did spend $2,500, this would probably go on a shelf. And I'd just be like, it is an artifact. You can look at it. And that's about it. So you guys recall the video that I made on the new absolutely wild Wilson basketball? Well, something happened with that basketball, full transparency here. It began to develop some little tiny fractures. Is this a real thing that's meant to be used? Is it a collector's item? I know it's got the fancy base, you just look at it. But I was also impressed by the engineering. Like, yeah, you can bounce it and it feels a lot like a basketball. So I reached back out to Wilson's and they said, oh, actually, you know what? Those were really early versions that we sent out to a handful of people. We're now beginning to make the ones that are more similar to the ones that will eventually be shipped out. So I was like, oh, cool. All right, can we do a swap? They were cool enough to send over a black one. So in this box over here, we have a black version of that very special Airless Gen1 basketball. Now, it's important to note, this is still innovative stuff and incredibly fringe, and it's not, I don't think it's really meant to replace your actual basketball. The feel of like a leather Wilson regulation basketball, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, the grip, it's all, if you're into sport, you know how important the feel is. And the main drawback with these airless basketballs is the actual texture on the outside of the ball. And I said in the original video, maybe like some sort of airless solution would be to wrap honeycomb core in a leather texture so you could have feel and airlessness all in one, maybe for a future date. This is kind of experimenting in real life through products. And I know that's been like a hot topic recently, because everybody's been looking at a bunch of gadgets and going, these things aren't ready for prime time. At the stage it's at right now, at the sort of Gen 1 beta stage, it's not gonna be as robust as what Gen 3 or 4 or 5 might be, and I'm okay with that. Like, I fully understand that going into it, and I adjust my behaviors accordingly. But some people are gonna have a different threshold. The earliest of adopters always suffer to a certain extent, and I've always been one of the earliest adopters. So I'm used to suffering when it comes to new and innovative products. And I personally kind of enjoy the process of like taking part and examining things as they're on their path towards becoming something interesting and possibly something widely adopted. So this packaging is identical to what I received last time. I actually shipped back the entire thing. Ooh. And I actually think it looks better in this black version. Today's episode has been sponsored by Laifen and their new Wave electric toothbrush. So I've been using the Laifen Wave for a while now. Ever since they sent it to me, it's basically replaced my previous electric toothbrush. And it's a type of object, given the design, that you actually look forward to picking up. The fact that it's got an entirely sealed body and it can be submerged lends itself both to durability and just aesthetic. In airplane mode and a few different settings, with a pressure sensitive button and a magnetic charge cable. Look at this, it's like MagSafe. So you don't have a big bulky charger, you take your little cable, you stick this in airplane mode, and you travel with it. Now, once you've got your head installed and you turn it on, you see the way the brush head oscillates? That's a dentist recommended movement right there. I mean, that simulates an actual brush stroke. Now, of course, it's vibrating as well at the same time, but that's what's special about this toothbrush. Look at the little battery indicator. I think it's some sort of combination. When you've got that big oscillation, 60 degree, and the vibration built in, you really don't feel like you're missing a manual toothbrush at all. It's got plenty of power. This 60 degree rotation here is actually 3 times wider than on competing brands, so you're getting more of a brush stroke action than what you can get elsewhere. I personally appreciate the simple design of the Laifen Wave and the fact that the body is sealed. In fact, you can submerge the entire thing. You can also get it in aluminum alloy, and there's a plastic version, so depending on the price point you're looking for and how premium you wanna go, you've got those options. So it's that combination of rotation and vibration that's gonna get your teeth clean. Thank you to Laifen for sponsoring this portion of the episode. So here it is, Airless Gen 1. It looks like more like a street ball and just, well, more stealth in general. The other color that I had was kind of like an off-white style color that looked like a more typical 3D printer type of material, but maybe slightly more rubbery. It's hard to say without having the other one in my hand. It might feel a little bit more finished than the initial version that they sent me. We've still got our custom tag on there, Unbox Therapy, and we have our plaque, certificate of authenticity. The accompanying ball is genuine Wilson Airless Gen1, authenticated by the manufacturer. Welcome to the future of sports. Wilson is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of sports innovation. With the Airless Gen1 Basketball, this moment marks a historic achievement, and we hope it fills you with the significance it holds in the world of basketball. If you look at the packaging, I would say they are kind of trying to imply to you that this thing is meant to be on display and not necessarily used on a daily basis. And I just assume that most people investing in a Gen 1 $2,500 basketball are probably gonna collect it rather than use it for street ball. I'm just saying. That's just me. Regardless of how it performs, because I am gonna test it, I'm actually gonna rent a court and get some shots up with it because I didn't get a chance to do that last time. And I've got a little bit more confidence in this version of the Gen 1 because it looks exactly like what they were showing on the website for what people could actually buy, unlike the first copy that I had, even though it was from Wilson. And I got the regulation ball over there too. It's a PSI of 8 currently, which is the recommendation. Okay, let me catch a bounce real quick. So you can see just a gentle bounce basically brings it to about waist height. Like, it's very similar and it remains impressive, just like the last one, that you could have no air at all in here and have it exhibit similar attributes. Really good. Here, let me drop them both at the same time. Damn, that's close. That's really close. Even down to the micro bounces at the end, like bum, 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 bum. For anybody who spent the $2,500, and I don't even know if people have started to receive their actual limited edition balls, but I think what I've got in my hand is exactly what you will be receiving. But ultimately, I want to take it on a court and get some shots up because it's interesting to me how the resistance is going to play a role, or if there is going to be added resistance with air moving through the ball instead of around it. Let's go ahead and jump on the court.
Okay, so we're on the court now. It's pretty cool. First, we'll just have the classic ball here. What can I say about the feel? Satisfying. Predictable bounce and sound. Sound as well. So that was another thing with the Airless one. You don't have such a thump to it, and your brain is used to the sound of that thump. So you kind of like prepare your hand to receive the ball back because you hear the noise, and the noise is a lot different on the Airless one. Let's see how different the ball reacts to the rim. That's a big bounce. So that's a big bounce, right? It hit the inside part of the rim and it bounced all the way over there. I don't know if the Airless one is gonna bounce as much. All the way back to me. Let's see if we get the Airless to do the same thing or not. Okay, let's switch to the Airless one. Very little noise. Listen. Just a tiny little like tick. No thump. No thump. So the weight on the bounce is almost identical. That's the impressive part. Same amount of pressure applied, same amount of force, and the ball responds like the real basketball or the regular basketball. Okay, I was short with that. That's probably just the shooter more than the ball there, the fact that I was short with it. Or is the weight through air different? Is it picking up some air and more resistance? Pretty decent rebound off the rim. Okay, that's 2, quite a bit shorter, a little more weight. Still short, little more weight. Still short. My brain has not responded to the Airless. Still short. Little less short. The ball is picking up, there's air, there's resistance. I'm telling you. I haven't shot a single long shot with this ball, and my brain refuses to make the adjustment. Regular ball, regular ball. So it's, if your brain is used to shooting a regular ball, it's gonna be hard to reprogram to have this thing fly the same way. I gotta shoot it harder than I wanna shoot it. Like harder, like I feel like that's gonna hit glass. I've obviously not shot a ton here, but I think there's a clear difference. Like I've gotta mentally adjust each time I grab this to try to figure out the weight. And I don't mean the weight in hand, but the weight relative to the resistance through air. Its behavior is definitely different in flight, more so than during a bounce. You can hear the air move through it on a bounce, maybe not in this environment, but you can hear a little whoosh, but it doesn't seem as significant as when the ball is in flight and towards the rim. The biggest difference for me, well, obviously the threes. This comes up short, but after that, it's not the bounce, it's the texture, like the feel. Especially when you're out here, you got the wood floor and everything is just clicking. And this is such a confidence-inspiring texture compared to this one, which is just a little bit more slippery. You're not as convinced in your grip. That particular challenge seems possible to overcome if you wrap it in a similar material to this. All of a sudden now your feel could be similar. Well, your shooting might change too if you can figure out the weight ratio, because more air is going to be moving around the outside like a bladder on the inside of a ball, as opposed to air moving through it. It won't look nearly as cool, obviously. And there's a reason they called it Gen 1. Durability here looks a lot better, whatever this new material they sent over is with the black version. We've been playing with it for a while here and it's intact. Now, would I use it on an outdoor court? Like a $2,500 basketball out on the concrete? Would not advise. I think for most people this is an artifact. This is a collector's item. But it's kind of cool when you have a collector's item that actually is somewhat functional, and that's what the Gen 1 is.